Want to achieve network marketing success? Then you're in the right company. Hello, and welcome to Leave Nothing to Chance, hosted by networking marketing giant John Solleder. Learn everything you need to know about the network marketing space from somebody who's actually done it. Join us every week for front row seats as we feature some of the finest and most successful personalities in network marketing. Leave nothing to chance. Join us now.
Well, this is going to be a distinct pleasure. My friend for many, many years. Unfortunately, we haven't seen each other in about 25 years, I think. But we cross paths all the time in the industry. Ramin, how are you today?
I'm incredible. It's so good to see you. Haven't changed a bit. Actually, I met you in 1990. That's how old it was. How long it was?
31. So I was 29. Wow. You were 20 or 19?
I was 20 years old.
20. Wow. And I think back then we spent more time talking about wrestling than we ever did about business. It's funny. Any old wrestler, I get them on here. It's like we talk wrestling, especially with the Olympics around the corner here.
As soon as I saw that you saw the trademark, right? The conversation changed. I want to learn how to make money, and you want to talk wrestling.
Exactly. It's like, wait a minute, it's an amazing sport. I still follow it. I know you do too. And of course, by the time this interview airs, the Olympics will be just about wrapping up, but it's going to be an interesting Olympics, I think. Hopefully everybody will be safe, most importantly, with all the other craziness in the world. But, let's kind of start there. You have a very interesting family history. I knew your mom a little bit way back. Why don't you just share a little bit about her? Because she had such an interesting career.
Yeah, she was a diplomat. From childhood, we traveled the world, and then the revolution happened, and then we're actually stationed in India at the time. And, she had to make a decision to go back home, where middle of the revolution, where we were small, or just give up everything, come to Canada and get us in school. And she decided to do that. And so that's that's our beginning. And when we got here, I used to see my mother always being a diplomat, right? The embassy car pick her up, and in the morning we went to private school. And all of a sudden we come here, now she took her money, she starts a small business, she's a cook, dishwasher, she's all this stuff, and we go to school and we do wrestling. And for me, it always bothered me because I didn't see my mother like that, from the type of life she had to where she became. And I guess that's the type of start we need to become more of ourselves.
Well, I know she had a lot to do with motivating you and your brother to really achieve and to live in a new country, of course, is never easy either. And you guys certainly successfully did that. And you've created that dream for so many other people in your career. So I'm just so proud to know you're watching.
About that. Like, I loved Milan because I wanted to see my mom back in her diplomatic gear, not in a white apron. And so that's what excited me about this industry, because I could see her putting her 10,000 on my coat. Remember at Lifestyle, there was this, they had this button we call a satellite dish. Yep. I feel great, ask me why. Yep. And people would ask her, you put a hole in that mink coat, and it was like $10,000 coat. She said, well, it's a button that got me the coat. So yeah, that's what I love about Emma.
Yeah, but she's an amazing lady, and you come from an amazing family, and you've done some amazing things. I know you got a chance to look, I think, a little bit at some of the principles in the new book that myself and Foster Owusu put together. Any of those principles, something you want to talk about a little bit?
But there's a few of them, actually, because I kind of went through the list, and there's a few of them. There's so much to learn. One of them was commit or risk giving up. People generally come to Milan because some they just want to try it. And I just don't get that. You couldn't succeed in anything just trying. Try a new job, I'll just go give it a try. You're never going to succeed in it, and yet people come in this industry, they expect so much, and they just want to give it a try. So I think that's a really, very important concept. Looking back at your life is another one, and it's incredible how people can make the same mistake, get the same result, and they never learn from it. And I don't understand that. For me, if I get burned once, and then I would never do that mistake again. But yet people have the same stinking, not generally, but I'm talking about most people who just want to change, but they're not willing to learn from previous. I don't get that, because how you are brought you to where you are. So when I saw that, I said, that's a very, very important concept that we need to talk about. one of the main things I talk a lot about is give and receive concept, and you wrote about that, which is show love to others. This business is about giving off people what they want, get what you want, Zig Ziglar, right? It really is that. You just can't get into MLM thinking, I want to get into MLM so I can make money. I get it. That's original, but it's how the mechanics work is different though. The mechanics is first giving off people what they want, give them love, and then you get what you want. So when I saw that, I said, that's great, because again, it truly is, you really must care about other people's, and that's what makes MLM so great over other type of industries, because other type of industries is about you only. MLM, that doesn't work. It has to be the other side first before you get there. And the last one I saw I really like is, basically imagine as it was your last chance. It truly is. One of the first courses that I took was Brian Tracy years ago. And what he had done, John, he had interviewed the Fortune 500 CEOs and said, what made you successful? They said two things. Number one, be able to create a sense of urgency. Number two, be able to prioritize. So, here you are, imagine it's your last chance. You really have to, if Fortune 500 CEOs got there because of that, and the average person, they just don't have a sense of urgency on anything. And nothing is a priority. They generally go with what they feel like they want to do. And that usually doesn't take you to where you want to go. So yeah, it was more than one. I enjoyed looking at the list.
Great. And, I know self-development, we know each other all these years. And even as a young guy, you always had your nose in a book. You were always into self-development. But think back for a minute, way back, whether it was when we first met some 30 years ago now, or even maybe before that. What was the first self-development book that really, you had that aha moment? You read it, you went, I get it. What was it?
The godfather of all books, back then, even today, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. I think there's two books that pretty much everything stems from those two books. One is Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. The other one is How to Win Friends and Influence Others by Dale Carnegie. If you do those things, it's not a one-time rate, it's an annual thing. Luckily now they have audios and all these things. You really need to understand that. Once you understand Think and Grow Rich, you understand life. It's beyond money and business. You understand life, spiritual. You'll change as a person if he hits you in the core.
It's a great answer. And I interviewed a gentleman named Ben Gay III. And Ben Gay is the last living protege anyway, of Dr. Napoleon Hill. The last couple of years of Dr. Hill's life, he actually worked at a company together in California. And I asked him this question. I said, what were the three things, in 2 years, think about this for a second, 2 years of conversation, Monday to Friday with Napoleon Hill. If you could summarize what three things. And he said, number one, integrity. Number two, focus. And number three, take action. And I'm like, man, if there's nothing else anybody ever got from any self-development book, the ones you mentioned, or the ones that so many of our other people have mentioned, the great books, by the way, all great books. It's those three things, right? Personal integrity in everything you do, not just business, every aspect of your life. Focus, right? Put your head down, right? You know that certainly in your business life. You knew that as an athlete as well. And then take action, because you can read all this stuff, but if you don't do anything, well, then nothing happens either. So yeah, it is amazing the power of Dr. Hill to this day. So let me ask you this. Tomorrow, they come along and they say, Ramin, we're going to send you to a beautiful deserted island. Plenty of food, plenty of water, but we're going to limit what you can take, and you're only allowed to take 3 books with you. What would those 3 books be?
But 2 of them I mentioned, Think and Grow Rich and How to Win Friends and Influence Others. And the third one could be any good book on law of attraction. Any good book. People generally know the movie The Secret, but there's a lot of better ones out there that goes for that, because if you're really stuck on an island, you better know how to manage your mind. Because if you want to get yourself happy and get to where you want to go and achieve and get out of certain things, situations, you really need to understand the law of attraction.
Great. So let me ask you this. You've been doing this, for 3 decades now. You've had a lot of success personally. You've had a lot of people, more importantly, that have become successful. How do you get people started in network marketing the right way. So they get off to that fast start. They gain that confidence that they need to realize that they can do it like you've done it and others have done it.
Here's the thing. We attract a lot of people, John, who are very unsophisticated in our industry. So they may be good in other things, but not here. It's imperative that we understand if we don't have what I wrote in my book, the three main areas, the first two areas of success is lack and trust. You have to create like and trust with your team, bond with your team. Because everybody comes in, not everybody's going to make a lot of money. Even if they do, they go up and down and they'll quit. So it's imperative that, we really almost move in with them for about 12 months through text messages and constant communication. Because when they're not making money, they'll stay in because of you. If you sell them you first, then money becomes secondary. So it's imperative that, when you bring somebody in, you build a like and trust with them, that they have to understand that they like you and then you have the best interest at heart. That's the trust part. And once they got that, they stay with you. They'll follow you, So that's the first thing. The second thing is you got to really teach people how to evolve. I call it evolving because people come in with set of skills that didn't get them to where they want to go. They come into this platform, they still want to use the same set of skills. They don't want to gain any new skills. And then they think they're going to go and max the comp plan. It's not going to happen. People have to understand that they have to evolve. They have to become more. Look, you make $1,000 a month. Well, you're not making that extra $1,000 a month now. That means you got to pick up some new skills. And to make that gives you some new actions to new results. That's $1,000 a month. You'll make $10,000 a month. Then you have to evolve more. Pick up more skills, right? Then more actions, more results, and you'll become a millionaire, then you really got to evolve. You don't need to become somebody else. You just have to become the best version of yourself. The important part is that people, they don't want to evolve, and yet they want to max the comp plan. I don't know where that expectation comes in. They would not have this expectation in anything else. If I'm not a swimmer, I'm not going to win the Olympics. I know I'm not going to win the Olympics, but no, when it comes to MLM, I don't want to change or learn anything, but I want to max the comp plan. And I just don't know where that comes. And I have to blame the uplines, maybe some of that, managing expectation. So we have to teach people how to evolve. They have to know that they have to become a better version of themselves. Another thing we have to teach people how to dream. I have a concept called a promise list. It's going to be contradictory a little bit, me and maybe some of the other speakers. I don't believe in goal lists. I think goals are reasons why people fail, because people think goals are like New Year's resolution. I want to quit smoking, right? How long does that last? 2 weeks. I don't think the word goal has any connection to you. It's something that's nice to achieve. It's a goal. Something's nice. So I said, don't set up a goal list, set up a promise list. Big difference here, because most people will do what they can to keep their promise. Because there's a personal connection. It connects to you as a person. But a goal is, it'd be something nice to achieve. So we got to teach people how to dream again through a promise list. And the last thing is basically what I talked about earlier, which is managing expectation, the peaks and valleys of life and our business. People can go through peaks and valleys, in their relationships, health, their job, pretty much everything, but that's fine. They kind of ride it. They go through a valley in MLM, they quit. I don't understand that either. We're not always healthy. We're not always in good relationships. We're not always in good mood. So there is peaks and valleys in life. Once we teach people the concept of peaks and valleys, and that when they go through that in their MLM business, it's no different than what they went through yesterday at their job, then people will take that better and ride it better and don't quit when things are not going well.
It's great. I got to tell you, I love that promise list. That is, I never thought of it that way. That's a great stuff. So let me ask you this. Let's stay on this subject for a minute. The world's changed in the last year and a half now, right? Since this, pandemic has begun. A lot of people's lives have changed for the worst, not for the better, some for the better, but for the most part for the worst. And what that's done, I believe, is it's put people in an environment where they're looking at network marketing, maybe for the first time. So let me kind of give you a scenario. I'd love your reaction to this from me. So let's say there's a dad and a son, and the dad's my age. He's 60. And maybe he's been a senior level manager. He's done well. He had a nice retirement plan put together. And he was kind of looking at, hey, end of my work life, I'm going to get to go fish or golf or hunt or whatever it is, a guy wants to do when he retires. And all of a sudden, here comes the pandemic. Right. And maybe now he's even back to work, but whatever business he's in, whether he owns it or he works for somebody else, it's not what it was. Sales are not what they were, certainly. Right. So he all of a sudden says, hey, you know what? That retirement account, it's still a little short. I need to shore it up. And, meantime, there's some other unexpected needs in the family. Okay. And his 25-year-old son is maybe even college educated, right? Good kid, went to school, worked hard, started his business career, started his life, and all of a sudden he got hit with the pandemic, right? And his life has been usurped as a result. And maybe he's back sleeping on mom and dad's couch or spare bedroom, right? And feeling like, wow, I'm 25 and I'm back where I was when I was 15. And they say, hey, you know what? Ramin's been super successful. Let's call him up today and see if he's got time. Let's go over to his office. Okay, so they arrive and they sit down in your office. They've never been in network marketing. Maybe they even had the false information on the industry. It doesn't work. People don't make money. All that nonsense that you and I know are nonsense, and our listeners know are nonsense, right? But they've never been in it. They've never sponsored anybody. They've never been to a meeting. They've never seen a product or a company. All they know is that this industry exists. How do you guide them? What do you tell them?
You have no choice. I don't. When it comes to something like this, I don't reach it from an MLM point of view at all. They have no choice. There's a term now called the stay-at-home economy. That's where it's at. The people who don't have 50% of post-COVID travel will never return. Companies have learned they don't need big offices. People can work from home, but they don't need them at all. And then you've got your situation that even the people who actually have jobs, 74% say they don't want to go back to an office environment. The world has changed. It's a stay-at-home economy. So once you understand that, okay, home is where business gets done, then what's your options, right? You got e-commerce and you've got MLM. They're both two of the same, except MLM is e-commerce squared. So once we understand that, okay, yeah, I think everybody agrees that, okay, home is where the action is. You cannot, it's everywhere now. So once you come out to the agreement that e-commerce is where the action is, then what's the best form of e-commerce? The one that gives you not just retail profit, but also gives you wholesale profits, residual income. And all of a sudden, it becomes very logical. The next question somebody comes, okay, so what's the company? What's the product? That's a whole different conversation. That opened the door to your business. So I wrote in my book, John, is that, the mistake people make is they try to go build a team. That's just not MLM what it's all about. First thing you do is you build industry. Because we thought in the industry, it doesn't matter how good your team is, your company is. Don't go flopping your company or team. Build industry. Go e-commerce. MLM, right? Attach MLM to e-commerce. Everybody understands e-commerce. Now attach MLM as being e-commerce squared. And we can easily make that case. Then first build industry, then build your company, not your team, your company. Because it doesn't matter how good is your team. If the company falters, you all lose. If the industry is bad, all companies go down. If the company is bad, all teams go down. Third is you build your team. Once we get people thinking that way, you're doing that right now. You're building the industry. My forensic networker, I built the industry for 22 years. So when we talk to people logically, there's a term now called stay-at-home economy. That's not attached to MLM. But guess what? That might be the future, and everyone knows that. But MLM has been doing this for 70 years. We have the most experience in this. We're the ones that people need to come to and say, okay, I need to get into the stay-at-home economy. How do we do this? So once we talk about the industry, I think it becomes pretty logical to someone to say, I can do this. Now, here's another thing what I love about MLM. It's the greatest equalizer. It doesn't matter if it's a 21-year-old son or it's a 65-year-old dad. It's the greatest equalizer. The industry, that doesn't happen in a job. If I'm going for a senior executive position in a job, a 21-year-old doesn't have a shot. Let's face it. Dad will have that shot to get that job. MLM doesn't have that distinction. You come in, the comp plan works for everybody. So those are the type of things I talk about, and I think another thing I like about this is the family business environment. the family business environment doesn't really work well in traditional businesses, because it really doesn't work. But it does so well right here because all those are family business, but you're independent. Right. You don't have to go by the office rules, right? You're independent. So it took the concept of family business and made it work by giving you space and upgraded it. So, I think it's a very easy conversation with in a case like this. Don't go flopping your products and your company. Just talk about the stay-at-home economy. We got an agreement there. What choices do you have? E-commerce or an MLM? What else is there? Right? Well, e-commerce, Amazon. Look, the world's largest company in the world, what do? They give people a platform to do business. That's it. That's it. And now, of course, dealing with Amazon, you still have to get your own policies and return products, all this stuff. MLM gives you Amazon squared. Because not only give you a platform to do e-commerce, they give you the product, the training, drop ship. They go, it's ready, turnkey. You sign up, you're up and running. I'm telling you, it's an easy conversation.
Wow, love it. And you're so right. It's almost like Amazon for the little guy. When you think about it, the little guy's got not only a shot, but he's got a business, which is very similar to Amazon. You're absolutely right. So let's talk about the forensic networker. Tell people about the forensic networker. I know it's something you've been engaged in putting together now for well over 2 decades, but I'd love our audience to know about it and know how to get information about it, et cetera, et cetera. So,
sure. Forensics started a long time ago. I initially wrote two manuals. One of them was Independent Home Business Manual. One was Psychology of Sales. And we kind of put together, became the forensic networker. Chris Gross from Networking Time said it best, it's Ramin, because he's been to my seminars, like a 3-day seminars, 12-hour days. It says, forensic networker will be known as the truth in MLM because it's not an easy seminar to go through. There is no hoopla there. It's pure work. In MLM, I find that there's too much about how to do MLM. And it's very MLM-y. And here's what I mean by that. To me, MLM is a bit backwards, where we take somebody who's never run a business and you try to teach him to become the best trainer and the best recruiter and best closer, but they really don't know how to run a business. So what forensic does, to me, it's like, taking somebody who doesn't have a driver's license, put it in an F1 car to go win F1. I mean, it's not going to work well. First, teach him how to drive. Then teach him the skills of being a race car driver. So forensic, it's got basically 3 different parts to it. The first part is the personal development. Look, you need longevity to finish anything. You have no longevity, you're not going to finish anything. Doesn't matter what it is. So, and longevity doesn't come from MLM skills, it comes from internal. We got to develop people, right? The very first 1/3 of forensic is personal development. Calgary Tower, it's a big tower. It's 13,000 tons, the weight of that, John. 13,000 tons, 7 of which is under the ground. We need a strong foundation. So when we get people into MLM, they don't have a foundation. We got to really spend a lot of time on it. So 1/3 of that forensic personal development. 1/3 is business training. Basic. Remember when we used to run a business together and we used to say, go for the bank account, separate your revenues, don't go spend. Remember all that basic stuff that was really good and juicy? No one's talking about that anymore. People that come in, they can't use their credit card, they take the product, they sell, the commission goes to the gas station, the restaurant. All of a sudden, they don't know why 3 months down the road, why the business ain't working for them, right? If you become really organized, run the MLM business like a traditional business, then it doesn't matter if your profit was only $500 this month. Guess what? You got $500 you didn't have last month. So that makes sense. But if you're taking all the money, spending it elsewhere, the credit card bills comes in at $3,000, all of a sudden you don't know where the money went, then all of a sudden it doesn't work. But guess what? That doesn't work in any type of business. So second thing is teach them how to run a business. The third thing is give them the MLM skills. So forensic is a scientific approach to building an MLM business. It's very scientific. It comes with all kinds of tracking sheets. It gives you a DMO. We have this box called the MO box, method of operation box. This is what it's known as a boss box. And in this is where we do all our leads It's got dividers. It says 40 gives you 1. If I can put this here, it's not coming through.
It's hard to see, yeah.
Yeah. So basically on this, if you're part-time, 40 engagements gets you 1, 100 engagement gets you 2 or 3 if you're full-time. So what it does, it takes people off being end result oriented, which is the mantra. It takes you from that to become process oriented. And because here's what I find what happens with people. If you're so focused on end result oriented, then you're motivated in the morning, you pick up the phone, you do 20 engagements, and you get 5 people who may be interested. It's a good day. But because you were end result oriented, now you're disappointed because all of a sudden you didn't get any sales. But if you're process oriented, meaning that you do the process and you'll end up to a result. Look, you do the engagements, 1 or 3 things will happen. They become a customer, they become a distributor, or they're not interested. And they're all positive, right? And 2 of the 3 makes you money. So you focus on the process, there's got to be a result. So you could be on the side of the street with a hat, right? With a hat, 8 hours a day, guess what? You're gonna get a result. So once we get people engaged on the process and not the end result, they never get demotivated. Somebody goes through a full day, makes 50 engagements, and he's got a bunch of appointments. He didn't sell anything, but guess it was a good day because the process is working itself. So the forensic, we have this diamond where it starts with contact, because with engagement to contact to presentation to customers or distributors, and you follow that process, you never get demotivated. Here's the thing. The law of averages is a law. It's a divine law. It's not according to me or forensic or John. It's the law. You put in your engagements, you're going to get the result. There's only 3 results. So don't focus on the 3 results. Focus on the engagements and see now where you get in the 3 results. Some of it has to reach a skill level, but guess what? You're going to get the results. And enough of that will get you repetition, and it gets you you're going to increase your efficiency and get better results. So
tell people how they can get to it. Is it forensicnetworker.com? Is that the best way?
forensicnetworker.com. That's the website. There's lots of stuff to pick up and share with your team. It's all generic. I think already we have 84 companies on there. Wow. So it's been around for a long time. And once you put on your email, you get my famous forensic mantra that comes to you every week. It's a story. It's a short story, and people say that they love getting that because it's a story usually, and that relates to my son or whether it relates to the MLM business. So it's pretty cool. If you go on Instagram, Forensic Networker, we have it in Farsi and English. You want to go on Facebook, Forensic Networker Nation. So again, it's stuff that you could take and share with your team and make do a quick reset, refresh for that day.
Great. Now I know you've written a book as well.
Forensic Networker. So what we did was, I never really, initially when I did this, John, because I built this only for full-time MLMers only. It was very detailed, right? I felt it was too advanced for the new person. So I would only had the 7 versions of it. I did it, provide only for my seminar attendees that we did once a year. But I think now MLM needs the system and stay-home economy. So we're going to mass produce it now and make it available to everybody. So version 8 will be coming out later this year.
Great. And so 22 years now with the Forensic Networker?
Yes.
Wow. So it's amazing. And you've built an amazing brand with it. And it's incredible. Like, you mentioned Chris Gross. Chris and I talk almost every day. We've been friends for years. I've written for his magazine off and on for 20 years. And, it's such a small world. But I know Chris and I were talking the other day, and I said, I just talked to Ramin. And he's like, how do we know all the same people? It's amazing. There's 7 million people in network marketing in America and Canada alone, not counting all the other countries we know people in. And it's like we all seem to know each other.
You know what, though? I like to say, John, we're the blue ocean, blue lagoon in a red-infested ocean. We're the blue lagoon. I'm telling you, this is a good deal here. It's just the environment is worth $1 billion, just the environment. So outside these doors of MLM, borders of MLM, life is pretty depressive. It is. And because media controls all of that, there's nothing positive outside the borders of MLM. inside the borders of MLM, all we talk about personal development, making sales, making money, listen to testimonials, success stories. If we're down, somebody's there to lift us up. This doesn't happen outside the borders of MLM, and we need to talk more about those other types of attributes.
You know, the best way, I'd love your reaction to this, the best way, and I think it was Ben Gay that said this, it may have been somebody else, because it may have been Ron Henley, who runs the Network Marketing Historical Society, one of those two guys, said, and I've heard this before, and I've even used this before, but not exactly how they said it. They said, MLM was designed by the guys who designed it way back in the 50s and 60s to be a self-development business with a pay plan. Mm-hmm. You get the self-development and you get paid, okay, but in that order. Without the self-development, the pay's limited. With the self-development, the pay's unlimited. And you know, you're living testimony to that. I mean, it's amazing the life that you've built, the business that you've built, the reputation that you've built. I mean, knowing you from, you know, when we were in our 20s and here we are now, you know, kids.
You saw my day one. You saw my day one in this industry.
I did.
You're in a rare breed. You're a rare breed. To see my day one, you were the big guy.
I was, and it was. I'll never forget it, actually, because you know, you walked in the room, and I think I met your mom. I think I met your mom maybe the week before, and I talked to her. She's like, "I'm going to bring my sons," and my sons wrestled. That's all she needed to say, and it was like, "Well, get them in here, man. Let's start talking." You know, I mean, here we are, all these years later. So, let me ask you this, and as we start to wrap up here, Ramin. So, you've had an amazing life. You've been all over the place. You've obviously made tremendous amounts of money. As importantly, though, you've helped a lot of other people along the way. What's ahead for you?
Okay, so when I launched my company, let me quickly go back. What happened, John? I built 4 other businesses for the people. For some reason, it was taken away from me. You know, if you remember, my first company, they changed the comp plan and all that stuff, and then the company got sold and closed. So every time I built it, I thought this was it. Because to me, MLM, the concept of MLM was what the leaders of the first company like yourself told us, which is work out for 5, get paid for next 50, right? So I thought that was a good deal. You know, I took that to heart. But every time I built it, something happened outside my control. That's what pushed me to start my own business. So when I launched my own business, I understand everybody needs something to keep motivated. So I created a concept called to the billion. So that even till today, we do that to the billion. And people say, why do you need $1 billion? I mean, your life is pretty good. You got the mansions, you got the cars. I said, you don't understand. I don't need $1 billion. Even if I had $1 billion, my life wouldn't change much. Why do I put a topic to the billion? Is because I need a target to shoot for. So other people have a shot to get to that target. If I get comfortable where I'm at, I'm not at work today. I have a son I want to be with. I got a sports car to be at the track. But no, I put my word out there in 2005 to the billion. So every single day I'm motivated on that target to the billion. I promised my son when he was 4 months old, I'm going to hand over $1 billion company to him. So in MLM, what do? Vast majority of our revenues goes back as commissions. You do $1 billion. You put in 500-600 million of that into commissions to other people. So part of the to the billion concept was 1,000 millionaires that we're going to create. So that's next for us, to the billion and creating 1,000 millionaires.
And you can do it. I've never known anybody as driven. I've never known anybody as hardworking. And I've never known anybody who's loved people the way that you have. And that's why you're successful, because I know the way you've always run your business, which is other people first. I'll get mine. You get yours first. The old Zig Ziglar, hey, helping up other people get what they want. You get what you want. And you're living testimony to that. So let me say a couple of things, and I'm going to give you the last word. So My name is John Solleder. And the name of our show is Leaving Nothing to Chance. We air every Tuesday on Spotify, on Apple, on iTunes, on a variety of other podcast networks. Our show is about network marketing. You've met some of the leaders in the industry, some that go back as far as the 1950s, some like Ramin that are a lot younger, that have been doing it for a long time, and you're hearing a lot of success. The name of our books, Leave Nothing to Chance, available in English and Spanish and digital as well. And also Moving Up 2020, Both were Amazon bestsellers, and both are based on 38 years of real experience. I do this business for a living. Like Ramin, I educated my kids through this business, not another business. This has been not a hobby, but a serious business for us. So it can be for you too, or it can just be something part-time that you get involved with. You learn the skills, you listen to our show, you listen to things like the Forensic Networker, you get the information, and you take your time. You're not in a race with anybody in our industry. That's one of the things I've always loved about it, Ramin, and I love your comment on that as well. So anyway, I'm John Solleder. Ramin, I'm going to give you the last word, my friend.
So thank you for what you do. I mean, here you're building the industry. And it's an industry that's got a few 100 million people in it. It will have a couple of billion people in it in the future. And they need people like yourself and myself that, I mean, I know you've made so much money in your time, and here you are. You're still doing it after 38 years. And it needs people like me and you to think beyond ourselves, right? Because we're thinking build the industry first. And I will congratulate you and thank you for having me here. It's so good to see you, at least on the web. And we should connect soon and go to the next Olympic trials and watch it together, or the World Championship. As far as a message to your audience is 2 words: keep evolving. How you are brought you to where you are. If that's not great, then you need to evolve. So keep evolving.
Great. Well, thank you again. And hey, I just have to ask this though. This is for the sake of my son, who like your son is going to eventually inherit a business and all that. But my son is a car guy, and you are the ultimate car guy. So when we go to the Olympic trials in Canada, what car are we taking?
In Canada,
yeah,
you have a lineup of whatever you want. I mean, we can go with McLarens, or we can go with the Porsche, or Bentleys, Range Rovers, G-Wagons, whatever you want. You decide. The lineup is there. Yes, I'm a gearhead. And the lineup is there. And why don't we just take all of them? Your son takes one and you take one. And we have a nice little chain of MLM lifestyle showing, right? MLM lifestyle.
Well, we'll show all those young wrestlers that there is life after wrestling.
That's true. There's no money in wrestling. So you better be doing
You better get good at something else. Well, thank you again, Ramin. This has been a lot of fun, my friend.
Yes, man. Likewise. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Leave Nothing to Chance. If you want to know more about what it takes to succeed in the network marketing space, join us again next week for another amazing episode. For additional resources and to connect with John Solleder, visit leavingnothingtochance.com. Don't forget to leave a review, and we'll see you next time.